At the beginning, you were talking a lot about how your role is interfacing with a lot of different folks. And in that type of influencing, you're encountering primarily people problems. Do you have any stories or examples of what some of those people problems typically look like and how maybe those got resolved? Because I think that would give a window into a role that many folks don't have insight into. And would love to, I guess, hear your story there about resolving people problems and helping influence and shape the technical direction or the different problems that you're working on.
I mean, we're all human. And the challenges, I'll say challenges instead of problems. The challenges can be just personal, like me and this other person, regardless of reporting structure or anything like that. How do you deal with another person? Particularly when they're your peers and you're trying to come to a shared understanding of something, right? And then there's challenges of subordinates. I'm the manager, you work for me, I have to deal with this. And then there's the challenges of working across organizations, right? So I'll start with the first one, the peer to the just the straight up person things. What I've learned is humility and listening is probably key. I try to, and this has evolved. You know, I'm 57, so I'm not in my 20s where everything is like anger and structured. You know, I want to pound my fist. You know, I'm much more Yoda now, so I can look back and say, well, this is what I've learned from that. I've learned that just being as empathetic as possible is useful, right? This serves in every situation, and I make I distinguish between empathy and sympathy. And the way I make that distinction is empathy is, yes, I can put myself in your shoes so I can understand where you're coming from. Sympathy is, I'm wallowing in the mud with you. It's like, no, I am not sympathetic. You know, I'm empathetic. I understand you're wallowing in the mud because of various things, but I'm not getting down there with you. So I understand where you're coming from. I think that's the most important part. The other part of it, and this is useful for all situations, is coming to shared understanding, right? When we created System.link, one of the first exercises we did was we went on a giant whiteboard, and my team, it was like 5 or 6 of us, we listed all the assumptions that we were making about whatever it is that we were trying to create. And by listing all the assumptions, we all came to a joint understanding of what we thought the problem space was, right? Because when you don't list the assumptions, I'm assuming you have the same understanding I do of something, right? We both think that, you know, everyone should eat broccoli. Well, that's what I assumed, but you didn't. So now seeing it up on the board, you go, oh, really? You thought that everyone should eat broccoli? I didn't think that at all. You know, I thought we should all eat jelly beans. So I've used this technique of getting to core shared for listing assumptions and then trying to march towards a shared vision and mission.
Jerry and I have done that for a couple project initiations where we'll try to list off, and maybe they're not the assumptions, but some of the trends we think are of why this would work, or we'll start to list off, I think, just other details. How do you introduce or facilitate like that assumption exercise? Like how do you help kind of prime people to share their assumptions for this kickoff?
Oh, for this particular one, I was the moderator, so I had the pen. And first, I laid out the exercise. What is the exercise? Why are we doing it? You know, because I say I think there might be some misunderstandings as to what this thing is that we're trying to pursue. And I'll start by listing my assumptions. You know, just to get things going and to show people what level at which we're talking about. Right. I don't list all of them because I don't want to steal the thunder. I don't want people to be silent. And I don't stand up there the whole time holding the pen, right? I then say, okay, that's my assumptions now, you know, and then the next person comes up and they do theirs. And it's all encouraging. You know, it's like, yeah, you're not trying to overly constrain the problem space. You want people to be their own creative selves. And you don't want people to tear each other down during that phase, right? So when someone lists an assumption, it's not allowed for you to say, "Well, that's a stupid assumption. Why'd you think that?" Right? So I, as the moderator, will tamp that down. It's like, no, there's no stupid assumptions here. Their assumptions are their assumptions. So I try to play the role of allowing people, because it's a vulnerable sort of thing, right? You're exposing yourself. I thought this. I thought everyone liked to wear hats on Fridays. Like, what an idiot. You know, it's like, no, no, safe space. So you're creating a space where these people can gel with each other. And then once they start doing it, then they start riffing off each other, right? And then after that, they start to get to the creative phase, which is, oh, well, what are our shared assumptions? What could we do? So that's how I moderate the thing, right? To make sure that the people understand it's like this is an open conversation. Don't feel like you have to hold back because someone's going to ridicule you or something like that. It's like that's not here. And if you're going to act like that, I'm going to kick you out.
I think a couple of tactical things that I just wanted to call out, like the listing a few of your assumptions first after teeing up the exercise, gives everybody a moment to think if they haven't already been given the question ahead of time. And I love the symbolic gesture of giving up the pen and like giving up sort of the authority to allow people to contribute.